Hello viewers, thank you for tuning into Agricultural New Directions Agribusiness in support of Vision 2030. This is where we discuss everything agriculture aligning into business fundamentals in our agricultural fraternity here in Zimbabwe. Now, if you look at the Horticultural Recovery Plan, which is being peddled by the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development right here in Zimbabwe, it speaks to maximization in terms of vegetables production here in Zimbabwe. We are talking of becoming an upper middle class economy, and one way we can do that is to contribute to our horticultural industry to ensure that our farmers are playing their pivotal role in ensuring production and productivity throughout the geographical locations of this country. We're also talking of issues surrounding food and nutrition, where we are saying carrots do play a pivotal role in terms of a balanced diet, having every aspect and every component of your diet on your plate. We are speaking of vitamin A, which plays a critical role in eyesight, especially to kids that are still going to school below 12 and so forth. Now, to discuss this and more in this episode, we are going to be looking at carrots production here in Zimbabwe. I have taken the liberty of inviting a vegetable, a horticultural specialist, Masimba Kanyepi, who's also working with SIDCO as the key stakeholder manager of vegetables. Mr. Kanyepi, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Wazi. How are you?
I'm okay. Getting into our discussion, today we are going to be looking at carrots production. We are in winter here in Zimbabwe. Can you talk to us in terms of the geographical locations or those ecological zones that support carrots production, number one? Number two, the conducive environment that supports carrots production. Is it summer? Is it winter? Is it autumn? Is it spring? Etc. And also just talking about the soil conditions that are necessary, that are fully support carrots production in Zimbabwe.
Okay, thank you so much, Waza. Yes, in Zimbabwe we are so much blessed here because you find that in every corner of our country we can easily grow carrots. The only thing that farmers might want to know, or anyone interested in producing them, is a carrot is more like a vegetable. It's 90% water. If you've got a reliable irrigation system, you can easily grow your carrots. And if you've got the soils that are best, to give us the best tuber or fruit, you can easily produce your carrots, especially the sandy loamy soils and so forth. But generally we are blessed. That's why you see farmers who are in each and every province in Zimbabwe, they're actually producing carrots, because the markets are also in each and every region of our country. So we can't say they can be produced in March West and the farmers in Manicaland can produce in any region. They can actually produce carrots. Again, the other issues that we may probably touch on a little bit is to say we have got varieties that are suitable even for winter, even for off-rain season. Otherwise, some varieties, if you grow them during the rain season, they'll be affected by too much water. But that's the good thing about carrots. It's more like an all-year-round crop which you can produce with no problems at all. And like I've said earlier on, in Zim, we can grow it anyway.
Thank you so much, Masimba. That was very detailed. He is speaking to us in terms of the conducive environments that we have that support carrots production. We are endowed with natural resources that actually support carrot production without much manipulation of the environment. Moving on, Masimba, I want us to talk about generally plant population per hectare and the expected yield in kilograms or tonnage. What are we looking at?
Okay, before we start off plant population, I think farmers would also want to know the seed rate required for us to be able to achieve that plant population per hectare. With OPVs, we are talking of about 2 to 3 kgs of seed that is required to do 1 hectare. With hybrid seed, we then talk of the seed count. In this case, we are talking of 1 million seeds per hectare, 2 million seeds per hectare. So if you're now going to our production with 2 kgs of seed and 2 million of seeds, per hectare, what is it that we want to achieve in terms of plant population? A plant population which is capable of giving us excellent yields, we are talking of 1.5 million plants per hectare. And that one is achieved after you have planted the 2 kgs or the 2 million seeds per hectare. Why is it that it then goes down to about 1.5 million plants per hectare? It is because of that exercise of thinning out to make sure that we get the required tuber size of our carrot. In most cases, farmers try to apply the double thumb rule, whereby they are thinning out to make sure that they achieve a distance of about spacing of about 3 to 5 centimeters from plant to plant. Okay. So that would then give us a population of around 1.5 million plants per hectare. But again, in terms of yields, if we can achieve a tuber size of between 50 to 60 gram, even to 80 gram per fruit, we can easily achieve a yield of between 60 to 80 tons per hectare, which is about 60,000 kgs or 80,000 kgs per hectare from your crop. But what's very, very key again is to make sure that you identify or you start with the right variety, because varieties differ as well in terms of meaning the fruit size, in terms of their foliage. In most cases, you find that the varieties which are giving us a bigger foliage, normally they struggle underground. They give us
they look leafy on the surface, but underground the tuber is struggling.
So with the coming in of new technology, new varieties, you'd find that the latest varieties like Hekla and so forth, they are giving us better fruit, even bigger fruits underground, and the foliage on top will be looking like it's not exciting, it's not attractive, but underground where it matters most, the yield.
Okay, now Masimba, from yield per hectare, I want us to talk about issues surrounding maturity and dates reaching to senescence. And also you'd find that in vegetables generally, they emanate from seedlings. You have our onions starting from seedlings or tomatoes starting from seedlings. Is it the same case with carrots? And if it is so, how many days are we talking from transplanting, if there is a transplanting process? But if it's not there, let us talk about days up to maturity and maybe the different stages that we want to highlight for the sake of our audience there at home.
Okay, with carrots, normally we recommend farmers to do it direct seeding, and in this case, again, there are some planters with farmers are now using, which have been designed to do it with direct seeding. No, we don't encourage transplanting. As you can see, if you try to transplant seedlings, it will be a challenge for us to even achieve the plant population which we are talking about. But in this case, we are saying if they can direct seed, we are talking of around, depending with the variety, to be probably from 85, 95 to 110 days to maturity. This is from seeding.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Masimba, for that. They heard it, viewers. We are talking of maturity and days up to senescence here in carrot production with Masimba. On that note, we are going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the second segment. Stay tuned. Welcome back, farmers and aspiring farmers. We are here in the second segment of your program where we are equipping each other with the knowledge that is necessary to be a successful farmer. Now, viewers, we encourage you to be a part of these conversations. Feel free to get in touch with the producer, Wadzanai Manyore. It's on 0772807506. Alternatively, you can like our Facebook page, Agribusiness with Wadzanai. Leave your comments and suggestions and make a follow-up on this episode and more. It's on YouTube, Agribusiness with Wadzanai. We are also now available on Twitter. It's at Agribusiness110. Now, earlier on, before we went to the break, we're looking at maturity. How many days does it take for a carrot from planting up to harvesting? We are here in the second segment, Masimba. Welcome back.
Okay, thank you.
Now, in the second segment, I want us to talk about crop management, beginning with pests and diseases that might be a menace or a nuisance in carrots production and ways you are controlling those diseases.
Okay, I think first and foremost, what's very, very key was to make sure that the land is clean and is smart. The surrounding as well is smart. How do we do it? We should make sure that the surrounding is cleared, no weeds around, before we even talk about the field, the actual field where we are going to be producing or growing our carrot. It's very, very key to maintain such kind of cleanliness, because some pests, they come out of those surroundings whereby, for example, you can see farmers trying to spray to fight some of these pests and failing to win. Why? Because the moment when they walk in trying to spray, these pests, they move away, they run away and seek for cover somewhere. Then they come back when it is now quiet and they start again destroying your crop. And it's very, very key to make sure that the surroundings are first dealt with before we even talk about the plant itself. Yes, and again, for us to make sure that the yields are there and the pests and diseases are also there, we also try to say which varieties are farmers choosing. They should be now be able to identify varieties which are resistant to diseases like Alternarium, and powdery mildew, all those diseases. Some varieties are coming with a package which can say, no, this variety is resistant or tolerant to such kind of things. So it's very, very key to identify the seed first before you just go in. Again, remember, by attaining this plant population, which is so, the density, if you can look, it's very, very pegged, and you can't then even go in to try and weed. You make sure that your land prep is thorough before you even go in, because this crop won't give you the opportunity for you to then try to weed using your hoe if you then wait until the weeds come out. But the good thing about carrots, because of the plant population which allow them to be very, very close to each other, I mean the plants, you find that it doesn't give the grasses or the weeds the opportunity to grow in. The canopy is excellent. There's so much cover which cannot allow grass even to come out. Yes, as much as we say the use of chemicals, herbicides, but in this case, we encourage farmers to do it by just making sure that the land prep is thorough, because this crop can actually suppress the weeds by itself.
Now, Masimba, let's move on to carrot nutrition. Yes. I'm talking of those nutrients or micro elements or macro elements that are needed to ensure that you have a healthy looking carrot. What are we talking of? I understand that generally people need to go and have their soils tested. But what are those nutrients that are essential when it comes to carrot production? And generally the recommendations of fertilizer per hectare or per unit area also include the water requirements. What are we looking at when it comes to carrot production?
Yes, when you talk of nutrition now, what we are simply talking about, yes, like you have highlighted earlier on, it is always good to make sure that your soil analysis is done so that at least you know the amount of fertilizers required for your crop. But again, there are the general guides that which we normally recommend farmers to base on to use. Those are mainly for your budgetary issues, to say how many bags of fertilizers do I need and so forth. But obviously, for us to be able to come up with a good a crop which can yield higher, we talk of our basal fertilizer, whether it's compound C but what we normally encourage farmers to do is to make sure that they are guided by our soil analysis results. Otherwise, some soils already the nutrition is there. Some soils, yes, you find that they are a challenge, especially if you talk of sandy soils. If we don't come up with the correct regime of fertilizers, you find that, remember, they are heavy leachers. And as much as you think that I've applied, you find that probably it's not enough. Or you've applied to soils which can hold many fertilizers for too long, and then find that the fertilizers are too much. And then it will also result in deformation as well of your fruit. Instead of getting a thin, slender carrot, you'd find that it will be producing all these other funny shapes because of too much feeding. So it's very, very key to also involve our agronomists, especially in those respective areas, who can also advise, looking at the soils, to say, can we make use of this fertilizer? Is it 600 kgs per hectare, or is it 300 kgs of top dressing? All those are guided by your experts, as well as what you get after carrying out your soil analysis. Then in terms of water, today's farmer is not just a farmer who can just say, apply so much mils of water. No. You just have to be there 24/7 every day, checking the moisture by just dripping your finger to see, is there enough moisture in the soil so that I'll come and apply. It's not just about watering and watering. Otherwise, if you water, you're watering too much, and that will also result in the leaching of your nutrition. Again, you are trying to feed, but the moment you are giving your plant food, you are taking it away again with heavy watering. So it's about you getting there, testing, checking if your moisture is correct. Then when there is by just dipping your finger, you can actually see that now it's dry, let me water. So it's about you being there, monitoring. And the temperatures, they vary. It could be hot today, very cold tomorrow. So it doesn't mean that if you are told to apply water after every 2 days, like today it's windy, it's a bit cold, then you see the rate of transpiration probably is very, very also low.
Okay.
Or when it's very, very hot, the rate of transpiration is very high. So issues to do with watering, the farmer has to be there.
Okay, thank you so much, Masimba. That was very detailed. Here he's enlightening us on how you need to have a good relationship with your crops. Not just your crops, but also with the agronomist. You need to establish rapport and work together to ensure that at the end of the day, you are profitable in your cropping venture, in this case, carrots production. We're going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the third and final segment. Stay tuned. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you for watching Agricultural New Directions Agribusiness in support of Vision 2030, where we are talking of becoming an upper middle class economy by year 2030. Earlier on, before into the break, we're talking of plant nutrition, specifically carrots production. In this very segment, we have reserved it for issues surrounding marketing and post-harvest maintenance to ensure that you are profitable and you are smiling all the way to the bank with your yield. Mukoma Masimba, we are here in the final segment. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Now I want us to talk about issues surrounding post-harvest maintenance or how to reduce post-harvest losses. What are some of those nitty-gritties you would want to emphasize on to ensure that a farmer is protected up until harvesting, number one? Secondly, can you maybe differentiate between those farmers who produce their carrots, aligning them to baby carrots for consumption, and those that need fully grown carrots for different purposes? Even though it's consumption, we have those clients who want baby carrots and those who want fully grown carrots. And maybe the signs of maturity. What do you look at? What do you see to say that I am going to be harvesting today or next week?
Okay, thank you so much. First and foremost, to try and probably curb on the post-harvest losses, rule number one in this farming business, please try to sell your produce before you grow it. It is very, very key. It starts with the market and it ends with the market.
Okay.
So please sell your produce before you grow it. That's number one. Otherwise, if you don't apply that rule number one, you'd find that farmers are just growing or producing for the sake of just producing, to say, because I did it last time, so let me just did it now. So we are saying, well, let's just make sure that we identify our markets first before we produce. That's number one. And as you harvest your crop, you already know someone is waiting for it, for the uptake. That's number one. Then number two, if we identified a variety which has got a longer shelf life, because the whole idea of us just growing, you find that you harvest a fruit today, you place it onto the market or at your shade at the farm gate, then it begins to wilter and it will go bad in the next day or two. It is because of some of the varieties, they can't stand that shelf life which is longer, which can allow it probably to stay a little bit there at the farm before you take it to the market. So it's very, very key to make sure that you identify the right variety which can give you a very long or excellent shelf life. Again, there are varieties which are meant for your baby carrots as well, which are there for farmers to grow, especially if the market demands baby carrots. You just have to make sure that you identify the correct or the right variety for you to produce, targeting the baby carrot market. Otherwise, if you try to use these varieties to say these are for baby carrots, you would find that the maturity of them, of the tubers, are not meant for the baby carrot type of carrot. And if you look at this carrot here, you'd find that carrots develops like a taproot there. And for it to be said it is now mature, this flesh just have to follow this taproot until it is full. Then we say the carrot is what? Is matured. But if we don't come to this variety, if we come to this variety like Hekla or so, then you quickly harvest them thinking they are baby carrots. You'd find that probably the flesh is over here and this taproot is still fresh and the taste is not even anywhere near the baby carrot taste. So it's about the variety, not just about to say, let me harvest them early for me to achieve baby. Yes, you can do it, but the recommended varieties are there for you to produce your baby carrots.
Thank you so much, Masimba. The reason why I asked about baby carrots and fully grown carrots is we have in broiler chickens production, you would find that the same chickens can be harvested at 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, and named baby chickens. And they even wait up until 6 weeks and say, this is a fully grown broiler chicken. So I just wanted our audience at home to understand the difference between baby carrots and the fully grown matured carrots. Now let us talk about markets, Masimba. What are markets expecting? What are the clients expecting when it comes to purchasing carrots from a farmer? What are expectations of the market? Do they want these longer tubers or they want medium sized? At what level of maturity? How packaged? Do they want them as a bundle with their leaves? Do they want them in bags? What is the market looking at when it comes to purchasing carrots from a farmer?
Like you've rightly said, those are the complexities that we face, especially when you look at our markets. Some markets prefer exactly the way you're putting it. To say they want bigger tubers, some smaller. But normally, small, thin, slender, the taste is just good. And they suit for our household family who just wants to buy some carrots, maybe use them for their salads or to cook them or to just eat them raw. they would prefer those carrots which can give them the taste which they want. Again, we have got markets which are into processing as well. They prefer bigger tubers, which can allow them even to process them into carrot juice, into all these other things. Again, there are some markets who prefer to even then, what do you call it? Is it grating or cutting them into small pieces? Yes, all those bigger tubers can suit those kind of markets. But like I'm saying, it depends with the market. And then, like I've said earlier on, that it starts with the market. For you to then be able to grow a particular variety, which will give you either smaller, bigger, or you would have identified the market which wants such particular fruit size. So it's very, very key to know, is this for processing or is for your fresh market, which you just want to eat, or it's a table carrot, for you to be able to then avoid all these issues of post-harvest, because you'll be stuck without now knowing where to place your market. So the markets are there plenty, and you just have to come up with a variety which suits each and every market.
Finally, as we close, before you give your recommendations or word of advice to our Zimbabwean farmers in terms of taking carrots production as a formidable business, what are your views in terms of the trends? Do we have a number of farmers getting into commercial carrot production, or farmers are still a bit shying away from carrot production, maybe citing kutazvinamari? Because at the end of the day, people get into farming not just because of passion, but to make a living out of them. So what has been the trends like? Are farmers embracing carrot production and the new technologies that are coming with carrot production? And the other thing I also want you to touch briefly when you are recommending or giving advice in terms of avoiding deformities in your carrots. Pane ma situations unonzwa munhu ari kuti zvangu zvazorambwa yanzi macarrots angu akabhenda or ane zvigunwe zvakawanda. Your word of advice in terms of that as we close.
Okay, yes. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, looking at the uptake of especially with the commercial farmers, remember, long back, farmers used to mainly focus on OPV carrots, varieties like the Coroda and the Nantes. But the commercial guys, they are more into business. They would also want some business varieties when it comes to production of carrots. And that's why efforts are being made to bring new technologies, new varieties like the Hecla. And currently, we're actually working on new varieties which these farmers can actually say, yeah, on commercial production, am I achieving these yields? Am I achieving this quality? Those guys, they look at the business side of doing it. And the uptake is so huge, and you'd find that because of us increasing on our research to say, let's us bring more of the hybrid varieties, because we are seeing so much traction with our commercial guys. And you'd find that the varieties that we are bringing can also try to tackle such those issues which you have mentioned, to do with deformation, or again to say it is producing two tubers but it's one tuber. Again, it is the issues to do with nutrition. If you apply more, if there are too much manure there, if you cannot again, it can affect the quality, even the shape, or even your required probably a thin, slender type of carrot. So it's about you managing or controlling your nutrition.
Okay, Masimba, it was a pleasure having you with us today, educating us in terms of carrots production, what you need to do. Thank you so much for permitting us time to be with you on our platform.
My pleasure. Thank you.
On that note, viewers of carrots production here in Zimbabwe, we have come to the end of this week's edition. From me, your host, Zanai Manyore, I'm also on Instagram, it's W Manyore, and the crew behind the scenes. Have yourselves a fabulous evening. Thank you for watching.